So welcome to another adventure in cyber. Today we have a town hall that will look at the issues surrounding the Apple versus FBI. What started as the case that the FBI filed, which is no longer a case, but this actually started several months ago. I said to David Nicholls, who some of you may remember moderated a debate on health IT, and he did such a great job that I asked him if he'd do another debate, and he convinced me that we really don't need to do a debate, that a town hall would be much more appropriate. And so we collected questions in advance, and I will admit one of the questions we received in advance was, well, why are we doing this since the case has been dropped? And in fact, what I think the panel will address is it ain't over yet. So I'd like to introduce David Nicholls, and he will take it from here. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Margaret. Okay, so I'm not going to say that much, but I will introduce some of the basic facts in this highly publicized dispute. So in 2014, Apple deliberately changed its operating system to ensure that all iPhones were encrypted by default and that Apple had no access to the encryption keys. Instead, these keys are generated by combining a user's password with a unique identifier stored on the phone. And you only get 10 tries to guess the password. Okay. Later, an iPhone was used by one of the shooters involved in last December's attack that killed 14 and wounded 22 in San Bernardino, California. On February 16th, at the FBI's instigation, a federal judge demanded that Apple build custom software to help the FBI break into the iPhone in one of the slain attackers that was given to the slain attacker by his employer. Apple refused to do so. By the way, Apple has challenged at least a dozen other recent FBI requests to do the same thing. This is not a one-off. On March 28th, as Margaret said, the FBI announces that they have broken into the phone without Apple's help, thank you very much, and dropped the case. The reason for this town hall and your attendance is that while this specific case has been resolved, the underlying issues are not. This will come up again, and in fact, it already has come up again. In New York, there's a case on the docket right now where the FBI is asking for exactly the same thing under somewhat less publicized circumstances. One point of view on this issue, and I'm not here, I'm just outlining the extremes, is best encapsulated by this quote from Benjamin Franklin. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. He was actually talking about raising taxes during the French and Indian War rather than this, but nevertheless it has applicability. On the other hand, and this was the basis of the case, there is the general principle that people should help out law enforcement if they can. And additionally, the potential of terrorism to cause catastrophic damage also raises the concept encapsulated by Cicero a few years ago, which in English is, in times of war, the laws fall silent. Now, more recently, William Rehnquist said, it is neither desirable nor is it remotely likely that civil liberty will occupy as favored a position in wartime as it does in peacetime. But he added in a nod to Cicero that the laws will not thus be silent in times of war, but they will speak with a somewhat different voice. This is a terribly complicated and important issue. I note that in February, a fiery Senator Lindsey said, any system that would allow a terrorist to communicate with somebody in our country and we cannot find out what they're saying is stupid. 3 months later, a more subdued Senator Lindsey said, I thought it was simple until I actually started getting briefed by the intel community. And I am a person that's been moved by their arguments, the precedents we set, and the damage we may be doing to our national security. So in this case, we apparently have the FBI and the intelligence community on the opposite sides of this issue. Today, we are privileged to have 3 very knowledgeable panelists to try to illuminate the issues for all of us. We have Arnold Abraham, who will explain things from a legal perspective. He is an adjunct RSM for ITSD and also currently a law student at the University of Maryland In the past, he was the Associate Director of Intelligence for the United States Cyber Command. We have Ryan Wagner, who will explain things from a technical perspective. He is an adjunct for ITSD, again, and a PhD candidate in computer science at Carnegie Mellon University. He was also previously a senior security engineer at Verizon. And finally, we have John Bailey from CARD, who will try to explain things from a consumer perspective. He has previously been working in the Software Management Research Unit at General Electric, president of Software Metrics Incorporated, is a Doctor of Science in Computer Science, and is also a farmer. Let's have a round of applause for the panelists. So today we'll begin with each panelist presenting a view of these issues from the perspective that they are representing.